who is helping me. Let me see. I don't feel like I'm getting good feedback from my mic. Can you hear me? My volume might need to be up. There we go. Carly is getting situated here. We figured that we would go live just to have some fun, hang out with everybody. I'm going to be honest, though, this is my first time going live, so I have no idea how to work this software, and we're working through it. The girl is in the house. All right, Carly's back. Wait, you are still muted. It's cool.
All right. That's okay. You didn't need to hear me like gasping for air.
It's all good. So when we're in this platform, am I just supposed to read the comments here, or do I go somewhere else? How do we engage the audience? Or do I have to?
So, okay. So we are live currently.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know if you realized that. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Genevieve.
And I'm Carly. So, I just clicked on comments. Can you see there's a private chat and then there's comments?
All right. Comments. Sweet.
Right.
It says live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. Yeah. That's the platform that we're on here. You can
text your mom, tell her that she needs to start adding some comments here so that we can practice using that. That would be
perfect. Let me go ahead and get her going. Da, da, da.
Turn my phone on mute.
Sweet. So,
how was your day?
It was fabulous. No, it was great. So, for those who don't know, I work in a corporate level supply chain as a category manager. So, I manage big relationships between manufacturers and defense contractor, which is a lot of fun. I love the team that I work on, but there are challenging days. Today was one of them. So,
I feel you.
Yeah. How about yours?
Oh my gosh, it's just nonstop all day. Like
so, do you want to introduce what you do?
So, I'm a sign language interpreter and I interpret phone calls. So, I interpret for business meetings, job interviews, doctor's appointments, car accidents, 911 calls, probation officers, jail calls, prison calls, lawyers, one-on-one with your lawyer. Like, I get called in every day.
I feel like that's way more entertaining than what I do. So,
I mean, it's super entertaining. I like
exhausting.
One call today. I had somebody like say something about their Lamborghini was in an accident. I'm like, how do you even know how to spell Lamborghini? I'm like, Lamborghini.
Google.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Let me just comment that we did go live.
Okay.
We are live now.
Stream this to your audience. Okay, so I have this little button that says stream this to your audience, log in or create an account to send. I'm going to text Thomas and tell him to comment. Oops.
I need to find someone to have them. See, in the future, this is going to be so smooth because we'll know what we're doing.
Right. But that's why tonight was important.
Yeah, that's honestly, this was just kind of our trial run.
Yeah.
All right, if I go on to, because in theory, right, it should be on our Facebook at this point. And
yes.
I don't see it posted there. So I'm wondering if we are sharing or not. Mm-hmm. I think we're recording and all of this will go up post as live. There's Tom.
There's Tom.
All right, so maybe it's just in YouTube. If that's the case, Tom, do we have to share this manually to Facebook? We figured that we would start doing, as long as time, works out, we would do like our wine Wednesdays and we could get a glass of wine and we could talk about all things horses, mounted games. I was kind of thinking about talking about sourcing ponies tonight because it's near and dear to my heart. I get a lot of questions on it. Buying horses, what to look for. He said it couldn't post to Facebook, so we got to manually share it there. That's going to be
stream this to your audience. Log in. See what happens.
You have a login?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I have the login to my... Here, go ahead and private message me the login for Unbridled. And I'll type it in.
Well, it's already logged me in there. Maybe it's because I'm still logged into Facebook.
Okay.
It's on our first ever live stream.
Yes. Do it.
Subscription is required for Facebook. Hop on into the comments. Sweet.
Thomas.
My brother, her husband, says he's driving home to save the day. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Okay. Well, as long as he can hear us and see us, that is.
It sounds like YouTube is working.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will just get rolling over here. So, did you get wine?
Thomas is bringing it. So I'll have it in about 15 minutes. He's going to bust through that door and just hustle it over.
The day, for real. Oh my gosh, we are on Facebook now. I see
Yay!
it. Fabulous.
Hi, Margot. That's awesome. Genevieve, what are you drinking tonight?
All right. So I am going to start with a disclaimer. I have anosmia. I was born without a sense of smell. Literally my whole life. I've never smelled anything. It's a great party topic, but I therefore have a weird sense of taste. So I just go off pictures, and this one had a horse. So
I do pictures too.
Fire
and even when it's gross, it's fine.
I don't know if I can get it to come into focus here. My camera.
Oh, perfect.
There you go. Sweet.
That's cute.
So it's Firesteed, and it looked really cute, and it's a Pinot Noir, which, to be honest, I have no idea what that is. So we're gonna find out.
Oh, you haven't even poured yourself a glass yet.
I haven't.
Oh, it's a screw top.
Yeah, that's the reason. I was like, this is pretty fabulous. I got one of another one as well, and it wasn't. So
it's red.
Oh wait,
okay.
I learned I'm supposed to tilt or something. Hang on. Okay, and then you're supposed to twist. I am not a civilized individual. Everything I've learned through business.
You've got that sucker to the brim.
It's been a day. All right. That's actually really good.
Is it sweet?
To me.
Or dry?
It's actually it's not sweet, sweet, but it's also not dry. It's like that borderline where it's like it's not going to make you sick because it's too sweet.
Yeah.
But
good. But you're like a sweets person.
I've started to gravitate because I've gotten a year older and therefore my stomach's gotten worse. And so a little bit drier has actually been better. So that's actually really good. I definitely would get that again. So I'm excited. But we'll see what Tom comes through with. I'll kick off, right? And got to get y'all a wine glass. All right. So funny story. I actually, when I was in COVID, because I work in high level supply chain, like multi-million-dollar relationships, I was invited to this conference, but then the conference had some issues and they're like, well, we're going to get a sommelier to have like a private class with this whole group of people. So it was like 50 people. They sent everyone a box of wine and cheese during COVID. Okay. It's amazing, right? So we had our wine and cheese, and they're like, she's going through with these eloquent descriptions about how it has like these hints of pine and the nut and all this stuff. Okay. To be frank, I have like 3 palates. It's like, it's sweet, it's kind of dry, it's kind of bitter. I mean, that's about it. And it's some variation of those 3. And so she's going through and she was like trying to kind of teach people. And so she would call on people periodically and she'd be like getting feedback and she'd be like, yo, so-and-so. So how do you see that cheese mixing with the wine? What would you pair that with in the future? And of the 12 people she chose with 50 people on the call, of course, number 8 is Genevieve. Like, literally. So I have my glass. I'm red because I have to be like on call. I had maybe 2 sips because it was dry. And she's like, "What does it taste like to you?" And I was like, "Ma'am, to be honest, it tastes like bark."
Bark. Like tree bark. Like on the daily,
It
you
was
just
so
go to your
dry.
backyard and
It
you're
was like
like
swallowing
licking a
wood.
tree.
It's just bad. Oh,
Ew, it
it
sounds
was funny because I
nasty.
had to explain like why I had absolutely no palate, because apparently it had hints of berries and like lilac and this. I mean,
Sounds
I was totally off.
delicious.
So, but yeah, that was apparently Genevieve can't be taught, but it was a really cool experience to see that people can get so good at their sense of smell. This thing that like is so foreign to me because I've never experienced it, that they can literally just like call out different things that should be like attributes in like a glass of wine.
Right.
I can't even tell fruit apart. So
I went to a bachelorette party this year actually for my bestie, and we did a wine tasting tour bus. So literally the not the driver, but the passenger was basically the person that told us the entire history between Maryland and wines and when they started making their wines and where the first winery was established, etc., on to going to each winery. So we went to 3 altogether, and she told us that she is a professional wine taster, gets paid to drink wine and give them scores, right? So then she teaches us that you don't actually taste the wine, the real flavor of it, until your third sip every time. And you don't just taste the flavor, you taste for texture. So you
interesting.
yeah, and she said you have to rub the wine, you have to use your tongue to the roof of your mouth and rub it, and then you'll get the notes and you'll get the textures of the wine,
Interesting.
but you don't actually taste the real flavor till the 3rd sip.
That's crazy. No, well, I
Yeah,
feel like texture makes sense to me because everything I eat is so texture based.
right.
But I don't have any like I don't get any feedback past that. It's texture and it's one of the 3 classes. That's so cool though.
Yeah,
It's amazing what people can become like professional at, if you put enough time into it. And honestly, you can make most anything into a career if you're good enough at marketing yourself. But yeah, I mean, wine is such a big thing. I imagine there's people that have to be able to describe it like effectively.
right,
Like someone who
right.
wrote a dictionary, like how?
Yeah, I think on that tour, I realized that I don't really like wine very much, as much as I thought I did. I was like, "Okay, these are all kinda gross on my 3rd sip."
Like, are not the best. No, I'm
Yeah.
definitely more like I like my mules or something pretty simple like that. But there's a place for wine. It can be really good too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
Especially the red wine. That's probably my
I
favorite.
know I learned, so that's the thing that I learned because I'm a homeschooler who's completely uncultured, is that red wine is like a fall, winter thing. And then
Yes.
white wines are like, yeah, well, I just learned that. So
Oh,
maturing every year.
red wine's like Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
with your turkey.
So I feel like since it's what, 4 days into fall, we're ready.
Yes. 4 days past ready.
I know, right? Goodness, it's been a week. So people are here for ponies.
Yeah.
What was your experience shopping for your first pony?
Oh my gosh. I was kind of pony crazy because obviously I'd never had a horse before. And I told myself, as soon as you graduate college, Carly, you get to do this big thing for yourself. So, let me think back. I tried a couple different ponies. Um, and I feel like I just knew when it wasn't a good fit for me. The personality of the pony just didn't jive well with me, or it was just a little bit too small or a little bit too big. And then finally I got on Remington, and when I met Remington, it was just perfect. I don't know how else
I
to
just
describe
yeah.
it. It's horrible because makes it sound so simple. But I feel like sometimes when you know.
Yeah. No, I
But
definitely agree.
some horses are sensitive in the way you need them to be sensitive, like rein or leg. And yes!
It's here.
Oh, he filled mine to the brim too.
We are
Thanks,
ready.
babe.
Thank you for everything, Tom. I know you can't hear me, but
Oh my goodness. Oh, and I am drinking hot to trot, 14 hands. Oh,
oh, this is gonna be like the horse wine show. So
yes, exactly. It can't be good if it doesn't have a horse on it.
I feel like Remington too came along to the discipline pretty quickly of mounted games. You want to describe him really quick because obviously people can't see him here.
Sure. So, I painted a picture of him. How corny is this? I have a little picture of
That's
my pony.
adorable.
Okay. So Remington is a 13-3 hand, chestnut and white Welsh cross something. And when I got him, he was probably like 4 or 5 years old and had some growing to do, believe it or not. I think he was like 13-1, 13-2
He
when
was
I bought
littler
him.
at the time, yeah.
Yeah, way more narrow and
Mhm.
everything. And he's filled out so much. He's now a little hippo out in the field. But yeah, he's more so short backed, but he is more upright too. So he's not downhill at all. He's
Mhm.
definitely a lot more upright. So it feels like I've got like a big horse in front of me
Yep.
because he holds his head up a little bit higher, which is helpful for some people that are playing games because it makes you feel safer. Like you're not
Yeah,
just
I
going to
totally
topple
agree.
over the front of the horse. Um, but yeah, he's a gelding and he's 11 years old.
Yeah. He's adorable, by the way. You're gonna see pictures someday, and he is precious.
Yeah.
He's in the intro too, but we didn't have that here. So he was he was definitely more petite when you started. I remember
Yeah.
thinking like you were gonna have because 13-1 isn't a bad size for you.
No,
It's probably where you'd want to be, and then he just got a
he
little bigger for the britches.
kept growing, but he's fine. He just
He's
now
perfect
he
now.
fits his own personality a little bit better.
He fits his head.
Yeah,
When you first got him,
always
he
had a
had, like, a
half
head.
head. Yeah, yeah,
And now he's very well put together, and he's pretty upright. I think that's what I prefer too, so when I go pony shopping, first thing, obviously, visual, right? You're gonna be looking at your pony. Generally speaking, I prefer to have a pony that has more upright conformation like you're describing, so a little bit more upright in the shoulder. So if you look at the butt and you look at the shoulder, where the neck comes in, right, that wither, I
mhm,
like to have it a little bit more upright, so there's a little more height in the wither, or at least it's gotta be level, and then it's more upright through the shoulder into the neck.
right.
Because when you're sitting on the horse, there's just so much more in front of you. And you're right, in games, like we're leaning off the side of the horse. Some people like to have length though. So like a long, low horse, because then they're able to just like get the mane up higher the neck and then it keeps them more forward when they vault, right?
Okay.
Versus like a pony that has their head up in your lap. And when you go to vault, your hands are literally right at the saddle.
Yeah.
A little bit more difficult, but I definitely prefer ones that are slightly more upright. Hero, definitely, when you ride him, even though he's 14 hands, he's a leopard Appaloosa gelding. He's in his late teens now, but I got him when he was like 10 or so. He's a lot more upright. And so you have a lot more horse in front of you. He feels like a bigger horse, even though he's a very, very stout 14.0 hands. So he's like
Yeah.
right on the border for me. He's almost short for me. He's like right there.
But he doesn't look small for you,
He's
like,
very chonky.
at all. He's a chunky boy. Like,
Yeah.
he's filled out like, if he did not have his leopard Appaloosa coat, he would very well much be like a quarter horse, like a
Yep.
quarter pony,
Yeah.
100%, like, big round butt, like,
Yep.
big chest.
He definitely looks like a pony that could be like Western 100%.
Oh,
And
yeah,
yeah,
for
would
sure.
be
I
flawless
feel like
there.
even seeing me on him, because he's, like, what? Like, this much taller than
He's
Remington.
not much taller than Remy, but he's
And
like twice as wide.
when I get on Hero, I literally look so much smaller. It's just crazy how
So
conformation
petite.
really plays into, like, whether or not you fit the pony.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And I don't know, Tom, if there's the way to like share our screens. I'm just gonna ask because I think he's still here. But it might be worth if we want to go like do some pony shopping and we can talk about what we're seeing in the descriptions and what we might look for. So I've
You
been
can.
in it.
I have present down at the bottom. Do you see that? Right next to
Yes,
Leave
I guess I do
Studio.
have 2 eyes. There is. All right, let's see here. The danger of so a lot of horse shopping. First things first. People come up to me a lot because they want to know how I source good ponies. And it's a lot of trial and error over the years, to be honest. Like I have been able to bring up over 70 ponies. At least 50% of them have been bought through auction. I really like the auction space. There's a lot of controversial opinions about it. Not necessarily need to go into that right now, but it's a great place for you to see a lot of horses and then be objective in what may or may not work for you. And you're able to get on a lot of horses, which is also awesome if you're new to sourcing ponies. And you've been to auction too.
Yeah.
It's
I was
really
there when you rescued Teddy, the same time you purchased Nova. So that was a great first games pony for me as well. Like he was going to be a great fit. How tall was he? 13 too, right?
Yeah, he was like 13, just on the cusp of 13 too. He was just under.
Right.
He was such a good size, and he ended up blowing like a suspensory, which is so sad. But he was a really solid pony.
I think where he's at now, he's sound though. So
that's
he's living his life.
Yeah. And sometimes it just takes time and rest. I mean, to give them some time to be able to rebound and then come back into work.
Right.
And sometimes it's just not the right discipline. So that's the big thing, right? When you get into trying to find the right horse for you. Hey,
hi,
Carrie's in here. That's awesome. We are so new to this platform, so we appreciate anyone who wants to comment to let us know that we are still live, because otherwise we can't tell. There's a button that says we are.
We honestly can't see how many people are watching or anything from our perspective. So please comment if you are watching right now with any questions or comments, and just say hi. Twins are watching. Yay.
Sweet.
Thank you.
All right. So anyone who sticks around, I also want to tease. I don't know when we want to do this. Maybe in 15 minutes. I have made ribbons that I had made for our Sun and Fun pairs, and then we ended up canceling one of them because of it honestly was so dry. It just was not like ideal. And then we're kind of shifting into the fall now, so I've got them made up, but they're made for the Sun and Fun pairs. Anyway, I don't have enough for a full competition, but I do have a couple that I made that are pretty fantastic, and I'm saying like they're awesome. So I'm not hyping, but they are pretty cool. And so we're gonna do a giveaway. We need to come up with a piece of trivia from our last episode, I think.
Ooh,
something that maybe you think of that.
We should have planned ahead for this.
We'll do a giveaway. We clearly went on the fly with this one. But
hi, Krista. Hi, Caroline.
Hey, Krista. Hey, Caroline. So good to see you guys. So exciting. So we were just talking about sourcing ponies. Figure that's a good topic. But if anybody wants to swing and pivot and you guys have questions or anything that you want to talk about, feel free to leave a comment and we will move in that direction. We just figured we'd hang out with you guys instead of drinking alone. And our plug, since we're not sponsored, but maybe someday we'll do Wine Wednesdays and actually be sponsored. I found this bottle, and for those who just tuned in, I have anosmia. I was born without a sense of smell. I've never smelled anything my whole life. Oh, that's so sweet. The special prizes. Definitely hit me up, send me a message. It really depends on my time, but sometimes I can commission family members to sit down and help me make ribbons, and I would love to. I'm really excited. I'll show you this one in just a second. I've got to get it. It's behind the computer. But really quick, this is actually really good. I was pretty shocked because I'm not a wine drinker. What is it? Firesteed? It's a Pinot Noir. And it's like borderline between being dry and sweet. So it's actually pretty good. Not a big wine drinker. I have like 3 categories of taste. It's like dry, sweet, or bitter, and that's it. So and it actually, the texture is really good too.
Ooh, yum, or ooh.
Yeah, it's in the yum category, and that's pretty solid. Not a lot falls there. So we're thinking we'll do a giveaway. We got to figure out what the criteria is. If anyone has an unbiased idea and they want to throw it in the comments, we're here for you. So otherwise, we're talking about sourcing ponies. So I'll pivot back to that. And Carly, definitely dive in if I just keep going, because I can talk on this forever. But I get questioned a lot about sourcing ponies. How do you find a good pony? If you're a new rider, what are you looking for in a pony versus somebody maybe who's more experienced? Where do you go? Where do you look, etc.? So Facebook has really become like your one-stop place to find ponies actively now. Yeah. And the best thing that you can do if you're looking for ponies is join as many groups as possible. Just join like Northern Virginia, Shenandoah Valley, anywhere in the tri-state region, or like expanding from wherever you live. And honestly, for me, like, because I'm not afraid of shipping a horse, you might even go to a place like Texas where you can get some really phenomenally well-broke ponies.
I follow like 5 places in Texas.
You gotta.
Like Texas Pony, kid-friendly Texas Pony, like all of them.
Yep. Yeah. So when you're doing mounted games, people who start ponies in English riding, and this is not everybody, and this is just my opinion, so we'll just disclaimer this. I'm not an expert. This is Genevieve. But as an English rider who's starting a pony, you're typically looking to make a pony that's steady, kind of solid. I want to say complacent at the gates is usually where people start, unless they're really pushing into a discipline like reining or dressage or something like that, something where handle is really valued. A lot of times, ponies that are being resold quickly, you just need a pony someone can get on safely, walk, trot, canter. And if they can't do it safely, they tend to be marketed as like a jumper pony or to an intermediate rider or as a project pony, meaning the horse is too forward and very often doesn't have a very good handle. If you go to the Midwest and you look at Western horses, they absolutely value the ability to move the horse's features independently. So being able to move their haunches in and out, their shoulders in and out, having good flexion at the pole, one rein stops, just their methodology for riding horses, because a finished horse to them is a one-reined horse.
Right.
They value so much more groundwork and work on the front end. Now, you do have the caveat of people sometimes getting ponies and roughing them up and cowboying them. But for the most part, I find that ponies that are broke Western transition to English riding very, very well, and they tend to be further along.
Yeah.
So
just a better foundation.
Yeah.
I mean, better just meaning more of a foundation.
It's like they put more time into the right things. And that's just what I've seen. So whenever you can, don't shy away if you're new to horses to looking at a horse that's been broke Western. It's fabulous. If a pony has a good neck rein, it really means that you have control of the horse's shoulders, which is a huge start. That's what you want to see in your foundation. Past that, when you're looking at ponies and you think mounted games specifically, you're not looking for a horse that's fast. Let's start there. I don't go out and I don't look for fast horses. So part of that is because I have the luxury.
Popular belief.
This is a totally unpopular opinion, okay? So this is Genevieve's opinion, but I would not go out and say speed is the first thing that you're looking for. One, because you can be an excellent games rider and an excellent trainer with a good pony, even if your pony is not the fastest pony on the field. If your pony is adjustable and your pony comes back and has a good mind and your pony is well built and is the right like kind of age and foundation, all of that supersedes speed. And speed can come with time. It's just like if you're a professional football player, right? You may not be the fastest person in season 1, but you can dedicate time to getting better at sprinting and getting better at increasing your speed. But there are certain attributes that you can't counter. So always look for brain first. You want to make sure that you have a pony that is not flighty. Now, you can work with these things. So if you have a pony that's like this, doesn't discredit them. But if you're going out to buy, try not to find a pony that's particularly spooky. Or if you were to like, whenever I try horses, I'll take like a sweatshirt, a bottle, or a plastic bag, something, and I try to rate them and see if I shake like a bottle, how does the pony react? If they look at me, fine. If the pony instantly tenses up and goes back, then you might have more time that you have to invest into desensitizing the horse.
Right.
If you're willing to do that, that's fine. But some ponies will always be naturally leery and anxious ponies. And when they are, and they get past being spooky, they tend to struggle with coming back and rating themselves back in competition and being quieter. So you get the pony that's in competition that wants to jig while it's waiting to go back out in games, right? And it might take them literally, that's where you have to wait years. So like my situation with my horse Hero, it literally has taken 9 years to get to a point where I have something I can work with. And he's fabulous, mind you. At this point, I'm really, really pleased with where he's come. But for years, he would get fried mentally. And then he's just like, oh. And the second anything went wrong and it went out of pattern, he instantly thought he was the cause and there was a problem. And it's just because he has a very anxious temperament and he wants very, very much to please his rider. Right. So that situation for him is just like super stressful. So you can counter that if you can find a pony that's a little bit more measured, has a little bit more wit about them, and isn't quite as spooky or reactive in the front end. Now, the flip side is I would never look for a pony that's dull. And I say that there are, and not necessarily, all right, I'll throw out halflingers, for example. They notoriously can gravitate towards and more drafty type horses. Same thing in eventing, right? Being a little bit more dull off the aids. So when you're asking your horse to go forward, it takes a lot more, or you're asking him to come back, it takes a lot more. The example being if you're trying to lunge a pony and you have to actually like smack it with a whip because it literally won't react to it otherwise. And that kind of atmosphere also is not ideal. In a way, it's also not safe because you don't have what you need to get the pony in check and in tune with you as a rider because they don't care.
Mhm.
So it's
That
like
can be very
the balancing
frustrating.
act.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
can be very frustrating if you have a pony that's just clunky. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it other than just dull and clunky. And then you can't do the things that you wanted to do with it. It's not as supple. And you've got to make those tight turns. And for gaming, it's just harder for those kinds of ponies.
It is, and it takes a lot more work as a trainer too when you're reworking a pony like that, I think, because you almost foundationally have to step back and be like everything you were taught about desensitization. We need you to like you need to be reactive and respectful too. It's just like in a herd dynamic, if a horse is turned out with a whole bunch of other horses and there's a horse that literally just walks into the hay roll and doesn't react, there is going to be that alpha that steps in and says, hey, this is my spot. And they kind of posture, and if the horse doesn't react, they posture harder. If the horse doesn't react, that's where they start squealing, biting, kicking, because they keep increasing the agitation until they get a response.
Mm-hmm.
And we get put in the same position, but we don't really want that of our partner, right? You don't want to have to be, it's so much work, I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm riding a pony now who he's not, I think he has phenomenal potential. I'm really excited about him, but he errs more on the side of wanting to be either he feels like he needs to be dull or he's really reactive and sensitive. He kind of like balances between the two, and teaching him that what I need is for him to kind of meet me in the middle has been a lot of fun, but it also is a reminder to me because all of my ponies are very reactive, sensitive ponies. It's what I gravitate towards. It's a reminder to me of like how much of a blessing it is when you have a pony that is eager to show up and find that balance for you and that harmony as a rider. So I
I have a
dovetailed, but
question
go ahead.
for you.
Yes.
That's really important, though. I
Oh,
agree.
tell
You
me.
got to make
Hi.
sure that your pony doesn't have AIDS and is not clunky.
There's Thomas. He's hopping in here from
Hi,
fishing the DMV.
So, as I work all the background here, I just want to let everyone know in the comment section, this is what we're actually going to be doing. So, next Wednesday, we're having another Wine Wednesday, and then we're going to be giving away a prize. What Jenny's going to articulate right now is something that you have to remember and say next week to win the prize. So, now she's on the spot. Whatever is said at this show, something giveaway wise, and then everything will be given away next week since we do have an audience for this one as well.
All right. So I'll give it to you. Some people know this, but I'll just run with it. My
What
favorite.
is her favorite color horse?
Well,
Oh my gosh.
that would have been easy. Okay. I got 3 of them. But
Hi, Zoe.
my favorite race for training ponies.
Oh.
So that's what it's going to be. You said for next week, right? Or do we want to make them guess it now for the award that I'm going to give out? And then I
For
can do a
next
second
week,
one.
because it helps them come next week.
All right. So next
Come
week,
back. Okay.
we'll do the other giveaway in a second. But this is going to be the fact that you need to remember for next week if you want to be in the running for another epic ribbon that we have here, which I'll mail out. But my favorite race for training horses, period, horses over 20 some years that I've gotten to work with games ponies. I think Carly knows what it is.
I am
If you don't,
not
it's
sure.
okay. All right.
Can I guess?
So,
Can I guess?
yeah, go for it. Guess first. Does anyone else want to guess? If you guys can guess in the comments, just
Yeah.
out of curiosity.
Everybody guess what Jenny's favorite race is for games to train a pony. 3 mug, I'm assuming.
I'm going to give people a second here.
I was going to say bottle.
That's an interesting one.
Bottle shuttle.
Anybody else?
More
Okay.
guesses. Come on. Carton.
Okay. Keep going.
Keep going. One more. One more guess.
Apparently rude to turn your glass upside down, but I'm, again, a savage.
Krista says 2 flagger bottle. I'm with Krista on bottle.
Okay. So the answer is...
Hi, Joyce.
Joy's in here. Hey. I'm so excited for the lineup of people we have in the works for interviews, by the way. It's going to be so much fun.
Me too.
All right. So, my favorite race, and I'll explain why, but I'm curious to know in time. And I'm going to ask people we interview too what theirs is. Everyone has a different reason, and they're probably equally valid. So, this is just my personal opinion, not necessarily the only way of doing things, but it's 3 mug. Okay. So,
Playbook. Okay.
congratulations.
Joy
Joy.
wins. Oh my
And
gosh.
it says Georgia Farms Riding, but I feel like
It's Marlo.
that might be Courtney. Who else is it if it's not?
Marlo. That's Marlo. Or Margot. I'm sorry.
Margot?
Marlo's a wine.
Is it? Oh, it is. It's Margot.
So if your name is Margot, please message me on her Facebook to receive your.
Wait, no, that's for next week, I thought.
Yes, Thomas.
You just
Good
said you're giving
Lord.
away prizes today and next week.
Well, I am.
Well, that's
I didn't know. I guess I'm giving away 2 prizes tonight, which is totally fine. I just want to make sure that we have equality. So, prize number 1, I guess, is going to Margot. But let me explain really quick first, and then we'll get to the prize that I guess you just won. I love our moderator. He just pops out of nowhere. Thank you again, though. Just a shout out to Thomas because he's been doing editing. He's the one who's kind of launching the platform. He's been helping to schedule and everything. He's doing a tremendous amount of work. Carly and I have been both pretty busy with our work stuff, and he's been pushing it through. So, 3 mug is my favorite race for training ponies. And the reason is when you are working 3 mug, you can do variations both directions. You can do it in larger circles, in tighter circles, and it kind of mimics what you do while you're working your pony to create balance on the flat. It doesn't really get them sour to a particular race, and it strengthens them through their body kind of very effectively because it pushes them in tighter turns as you go. So for those who don't, there's Joy. I'll make it happen, but I feel like Joy and Margot both get a prize. So Joy, I will hook you up. I'll show you guys what you get in just a second here.
And also right now we have 10 people watching, but only 5 likes. If you could really push that up to 10 likes by the end of the night, that really helps her out in the algorithm.
Come on, push it up. That's what he said. Okay.
So 3 mug is my favorite race because, and this is what I work on all of my ponies on this race, even when I'm not practicing games. And I will say, as a trainer who works ponies for games, I maybe practice games once a week, maybe. It is very, very important that you don't over practice the different races because you can create a situation where a pony gets sour. Same thing in any sport. So when you're eventing, if you are trying to move up in the levels, you will get the same thing from your trainer. Don't practice your test too many times because your pony, being an intelligent being who wants to please you, tries to start anticipating what it is that you want as you go, right? And that anticipation can cause them to start making mistakes that then you have to correct in time. And eventually you get to a point where your pony reads you pretty well, but they always will try to read the rider a little bit in advance.
Right.
And I like spotty ponies too, Joy. Clearly, I have a problem, 3 matching ponies. But it is a great race for you to work on moving your pony out away from home or the start line, moving your pony back towards the start line. And when I ride, I try very hard to get my pony to a point where they have a lot of self-carriage. So it's important when you think about dressage, you ride into contact and you have support of your pony as you're riding most of the time. When you're racing horses, actual horse racing, your horse learns to lean to the bridle to take their speed and take their pace, right? So taking the bridle actually increases speed or increases pace. But it also means that you have very little adjustability because now the pony's depending on you to kind of hold their front end up. So what we want to do is get our ponies to the point where, sure, I can put contact on if I want. Like my pony Fizz has a total fit because he's still not there. We're like rocket launching through the air. It's great. But
a wiggly one.
he's the spotty. If you ever see one kind of leaping or wiggling or going sideways down the arena, that's Fizz. And he's a long-term project. We'll be 8 years out before we're ready. And he's not for sale. So if you hear me talking about selling a pony, it's not Fizz. Just
he's
and
so cute though. Like he's gorgeous.
I'd have to put a picture up here sometime. But Zoe is so right. It is a hard race to train because it requires a certain level of conditioning. But you can start at the walk. At the walk, get your pony to go at a consistent pace, out, look to set up your turn. So your goal when you're playing a race is to do the task at the end of the turn. This is my personal opinion. I'm curious to see what other riders say in the future. So if you have a conflicting opinion, please express it in the future. Don't worry, it won't offend me. But you want to be turning, setting up, and getting your pony to the point where the natural tendency to come home is there.
Mhm.
And then we do our skill. So same thing with mug. You turn a little bit, like if your pole is here, you turn so that you pass the pole at the completion of your turn, right? And so your goal is to kind of create this oval looping pattern as you ride. But I digress. You can work that early on at just a walk and then at a trot. And I advocate for doing it both directions, even though it's weird if you're right-handed to go left. But practice it even if you don't move mugs, both directions, because it strengthens your horse's body. And it also gives you an opportunity to start working your pony to kind of meet you in the middle with pace. Your goal is to be able to be out there and be consistent and have a pony right, like reading your upper body and how you ride. It's not just reins. It's how active we are in our seat. It's how we are positioning ourselves, maybe sitting up taller, sitting down forward might be, move out. And if I sit up tall or back, it's going to be like slow down and come up and wait for me.
Right.
3-mug gives you the opportunity to practice all of that, though. It gives you that opportunity to really get your pony to rate against you, your upper body, all of your aids. And you can do it. And by the time you get to a good canter, Abby, it's so good to hear from you. It is. It's worth practicing. All the other races are important. And bottle is huge too. But bottle, I would say, is 50% horse, 50% rider. Bottle is where you practice S turns, which is to me level 2. So level 1, I'd say get your turn and get your turn coming home, get your turn going back up the field. Level 2 is going to be those techniques like doing an S turn in front of a barrel, or maybe even coming up to a full stop. It's one of those things you got to really practice. I was thinking about that earlier, in mounted games, the patterns that we expect of a pony as they start, there is so much more complex than I think we do for a lot of other disciplines early on. So I think about starting a younger horse in dressage, right? And we just have our walk or trot, and then you have a walk, trot, canter, and then you start extending and lengthening. But our steps really are, I need a pony that's going to yield through bending. I need a pony that's going to collect and turn and pivot and roll back for me. I need a pony that's going to collect and then pivot and then wrap around something.
And then stop on a dime and stand like a rock.
And stop and stand and read the rider enough. This is what's really interesting when you work a baby horse. You start bending. You get good at bending. But now we've got mug shuffle. And it's a straight shot right beside the bending poles that the pony's just gotten used to going around. So, same thing with 3-mug, right? It's a totally different pattern. And this is where it comes back to, while you're riding, when you're not just practicing the game's hand skills, encourage rateability and the pony riding at the speed that you need and listening and being responsive. It should be a dialogue versus the horse just doing what they want or the rider just doing what they want and muscling the pony around, right?
Right.
So that foundationally, I think 3-mug is so good for that. If you can do 3-mug at a canter, both directions, your pony's pretty fit, yours pretty strong. And you honestly, it's such an advantage to have that on the field.
I love that you said 3-mug in both directions, because now I'm so excited and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to practice that tomorrow with Remington. I gotta pack up all the poles and take them out to the barn. Yeah. I have to make that happen now, both directions.
And it's worth noting too, just like people have a hand that they're stronger in, a right or a left hand, every pony is right-handed or left-handed. Every pony. If you work a lot of ponies over time, you're going to find that when you pick up a canter, they're going to gravitate towards a lead, and they're going to be really strong at being able to turn back on one side and really weak on the other. It's grossly exaggerated at first. Just like people, if I try to write with my left hand, it's going to be scribble. It's hard.
Right. Remington was left-handed when I got him, so it was definitely a struggle on getting his turns at a canter for the longest time. I don't think he actually started like cantering his turns because he was so weak on his right side until literally last year. Last season was kind of the season where he'd finally built up enough muscle. I, trained him the proper way instead of just pushing him through it because I was still learning as like a rider.
Yep.
I was still learning the skills myself and training a pony to learn the skills at the same time. It was really a balance and
Takes a lot of time.
it took a lot of time to get him where he is now. Yeah.
It's worth so that's like two things that I kind of pick up from that. Like one, it takes a long time. Just imagine trying to teach yourself to write with your offhand. Like it would just take a long time and a lot of practice. And a good turn with a pony is like doing a serious crunch or plank. Like you are expecting the horse to take like 1,000 pounds of weight at speed and hold themselves up for you and then be light enough and adjustable enough to come around. And a lot of times people shortcut it and they kind of pull their horse's head around and the horse's front end is kind of like running back. It's kind of the equivalent of like you doing a plank but leaving your belly on the ground, right? Like there's no strength and there's not the capacity for reaction because the pony's just so strung out. So that's where we come back to balance and making sure the pony in the front end isn't too heavy, leaning on you, kind of comes up. And you want to do that on both sides because we do have races where you have to turn left, but also you want to have a balanced pony.
Yeah.
If you ever have a situation where your pony sours out and decides it doesn't like mounted games, you should consider the fact that your pony's well-being should supersede like your desire to just play that sport. And it's rare, but there are times where it's like the pony just doesn't like this. And that's okay because it's like a being too. It has opinions. And if you get to that point, you want to make sure that you have also built up the foundation for them to go somewhere else and do something and be successful, which means they need to be balanced. So
Right.
always practice lefty. Also, it's important that there are ponies that when they're left-handed, the rider can adapt. In like the 3-mug race, there's like the inside rotation that you can do where you turn in front of poles. Like there are little tricks to work with a pony that maybe is better on that offside than you
Right.
are. It's also interesting. So there are riders that are actually legitimately left-handed. So Kimberly, dear friend of mine that rides at our barn and has for years, is legitimately full left-handed, but she's also kind of ambidextrous at this point because she can play right. I remember Adam, he was always left-handed. And so it's interesting in our sport because we favor being right-handed for all of our handoffs. It's crazy. So if you're left-handed, imagine like me trying to hand off with my left hand
Oh
when
my
I'm
gosh.
right-handed.
I can't
Like,
imagine having to do
right?
that.
I mean, so much practice. But you can technically, once you're in the field, you can play pretty much everything lefty if you wanted to. But your pony would have to be exposed to the equipment that way. So create a balanced pony, expose them both directions. It's also good because just like in jumping, showing a horse to jump both directions, they're going to completely be like, huh, this is a new thing. I've never seen it. It's the same thing when you do bending, like, or you do 3-mug. They're like, oh, this is totally new. Well, great. Now you're not going to get bored. So
Yeah.
that's super important. But what's your favorite race when you're working with Remington right now that you feel like you get the most out of it? I guess I should say.
So Remington and I are at the stage where when we're not at competitions or practicing with others, we're going bridleless.
So
And
cool.
we're just working on that right now. So it's just the connection between his neck rope and then my legs 100%. And so I would say that my favorite race right now is probably bottle, which is probably why I said bottle for you. But I've been doing the different kinds of bottle. So I've been doing, I can't remember the names exactly, but the one barrel, right? And then there's a pole at the end.
Yep.
So I've been
Bottle swap.
practicing, right? Bottle swap. So I've been practicing just setting the bottle, doing the S turn with the neck rope, setting the bottle, and then before I start deciding if I'm going to turn around the pole to the right or if I'm going to turn around to the left. And I don't want him to predict what I want to do.
Mhm.
And I just basically will go straight and then we'll turn right and he'll just have to go by my legs basically.
That's
And we'll
great.
set him
Yeah.
up. And so each time I do it a little bit different and then try to get that turn at a canter and set him up for that and then pick the bottle on the way home and then stop straight. That's what we
That's
want.
fabulous.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We want to keep them guessing because you want the pony to be looking for direction as they go. Otherwise, you get the ponies that just bolt and like end of the arena, or they're just not connected to their rider, and so it's not an enjoyable experience for them at the end of the day.
Right.
Like that, especially when you're working young horses. Always look to find a way to make it enjoyable. And I strongly advocate for shorter riding sessions more frequently if you can.
Mhm.
I don't see any value except for maybe your actual games practice because you're setting up equipment. It's good to expose them to that endurance kind of thing that you do in competition where we're out there for a long time. But when you're actually training through the week, I mean, 30 minutes is good. Like you can, if your pony, you get on and you warm up and ask for some things and they're brilliant, just
Mhm.
stop because
Right.
they need that reward. Like this should be fun. Like, oh man, if I get it right, like I get to go in and get a treat. Like that's pretty cool.
Right.
That's huge. So I think that's pretty exciting. I'm reading the comments here. But I need to show you this ribbon. So excuse me for 1 second because I left it on the backside.
Go
I'm
get
gonna
your
reach
ribbon because
for
I
it.
think we're having a hard stop at
I heard that we've
8:45.
got a hard stop, so I was like,
We have 10 minutes left.
All right, excuse me.
All right, Tommy, how many likes are we at this point?
We are at 9 likes.
Oh,
We
Tom's
had
popping
12
in.
people watching. We had 12 people
Tom.
watching. We are down to 6. We have 9 likes so far. We are 1 away from 10.
Yay!
We need to get our 10th like here. So
Come on, people. 10th like before 8.
Shannon! Oh my gosh. By the way, I saw that you're going to PA, and I'm so excited because I haven't seen you out in a minute, but I just always so enjoyed watching you ride, especially because you do things like offside vaults that we don't see so commonly. You're just such a fabulous rider. I had to throw that out there. Honestly, just so many wonderful people are in this sport. Like every person that I see in this chat, it's like these are all people that you just want to go to dinner with and like have a good
Right,
time and talk
right.
with. Like,
Never enough time with these games people.
honestly,
They're all
there's
so lovely.
just no cattiness, and I love that in our organization. Just so many awesome people. That's why this is going to be such a fun show, I think. Getting people we all have the commonality of loving horses. So the fact that we can just talk and share our stories. But I need to know if y'all are ready to see this ribbon.
Drum roll, please.
You don't know the time. And apparently we're giving 2 out to Joy and Marco. Thanks, Tom. Do you know how much time these take me?
You're the one that said you're
We're
doing
giving
2
away
giveaways.
2 weeks worth of
I meant
Jennifer's
2
life.
weeks.
Six-
This
Okay.
is my life.
It's all right. It's okay.
All right. So luckily I actually do have 2 of this color. So you want to see these ribbons are
Look at that. Oh my gosh. It's beautiful. That looks like $100 ribbon right there.
so
I'm really looking forward to learning more. Great to be in a community with all sorts of new people from the show. Rachel, I'm not sure if I pronounced your name right. I'm sorry. Rochelle?
it's so good. I'm so excited to have new riders coming in. Honestly, new riders, new parents, like it is so good. And just jump right in. Honestly, all of us, I think, get super excited to talk to new people. And I'll just keep this up here because people are pretty excited about this ribbon. And we will continue giving these away on our weekly lives. I will make sure that I make enough of them. I am going to tease that
And
the next one I
also,
have for
thank
next
you for
week
your-
is purple.
This
Next
is
week
a
is purple.
this is make sure you guys like and subscribe to her YouTube channel. Jenny, what is the name of that YouTube channel?
It is Unbridled Talk. So if you just go to YouTube and search Unbridled Talk, we're going to continue making these ribbons, and I will continue giving them away on the live show every Wednesday because we're making a commitment here between 7:30. We will post it on the Facebook page. So just gun for 7:30. You want to hop in here. We are going to be asking a fun fact. I'm going to ask you a question next week related to this show. So if you are going to be tuning in next week, you caught the end of this show, maybe you should rewatch the beginning here, like, subscribe, go on YouTube, go on Facebook, join us. I'm going to be asking some trivia from this episode next week, and we'll see who was paying attention. And I'll be giving away it's this really pretty other one that's designed like this. If we like this design, then I will continue it just because I love you all. But this takes a lot of time, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom. So, again, no, shout out.
Massive.
It is, honestly, it is like a plate. Like, all right, want to see? This is a glass of wine.
It's like bigger than my head.
Wait. This is a bottle of wine.
Like, that's how big the ribbon is, y'all. It's massive.
Oh, I'm so excited. Like I said, we have some great people lined up for interviews. Once I get everything totally finalized, I might release and tease who we're going to be talking to. And then we're also looking to do things like maybe doing a rider spotlight where we'll bring on riders who maybe are even newer to the sport and just get their thoughts and their suggestions, maybe where they come in life and have gotten engaged with specifically like mounted games as a sport and their dialogue and feedback and stories. So I'm super excited about it. I know that Tom said we have a hard stop here in, what did he say, 8:35? So we've got 5
8:35.
minutes,
Technically,
everybody.
we have 5 minutes. We gotta wrap
Any
it up.
closing questions? Any closing thoughts? We are so excited to do this.
Margot says that she loves this and her work commutes are going to be pony related.
Yes,
So
I'm
that's
so
awesome.
excited.
Yes, me too.
I definitely think that one of our lives, we should hop in here and do some pony hunting, like actively live. We can be looking and giving you our feedback on what we see as far as descriptions, confirmation. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. That way, when people go out and get engaged and try to look for their own pony, they have some ideas of what to look for. Or we can always, of course, pivot and talk about any of your questions. So I'm super excited.
I'm really excited about like sharing our screen next time and just like shopping for different ponies on Facebook and like going through all of them, the goods, the bads, the uglies, the perfect.
I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Talk
Also,
budget, stick to a budget, figure out all that.
We can set up some criteria for riders that we're looking for. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Homework is important. I'm going to say this will be my ending pitch because I believe this so strongly. No matter what you do in life, if you want to be a professional equestrian, if horses end up being your absolute love and dream in life, do know that no matter what you do, you need business acumen. You've got to know how to advocate for yourself, got to know how to communicate. School is important. All of those things will matter because no matter what you do in life, that's going to set you up for success. And especially in the horse world where you need to advocate for yourself. So,
and you got to know how to negotiate costs.
Negotiation.
Right?
There's
Find that
honestly
bottom
so much.
dollar.
Yeah. I mean, horseback riding, if you're doing it alone, is a business at the end of the day. Like you have to know how to manage money, manage your time, value your time, and how to communicate with people. All these things are so, so important. So coming from a business background, I'm in business because I felt like that made more sense than trying to make money like that with horses. But
and here I am in communications. So
it's the same thing, right? At the end of the day, if you become a professional equestrian, I admire you. That's a business. If you don't, you're going to be in business. So at some point, horses are expensive. This could be dangerous. Oh, the pony shopping. I know, right? That's going to be fun. So look forward to next week. We will do a live session of pony shopping. We'll try to start at 7. Maybe that'll give us an hour and a half of pony shopping, which should make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, 7 works.
And our giveaway, one more time, I'll tease this epic ribbon. It's so pretty. Oh my gosh. So I will be giving away hopefully just one next week, but maybe 2. Who knows what the moderator is going to ask of me. So I'll be ready.
True. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yep.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. I'm Genevieve. This is the Unbridled Talk Radio with Carly. Sorry, I just cut you off.
All right, this is Genevieve. This is Carly, and we are Unbridled. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll be back next week, same time.